You are listening to the Bob and Kevin Show with Bob Baty-Barr
and Kevin Giszewski. Each week we cover relevant tech and social issues related to technology.
Our website is bobandkevin.show,
and our episodes can be found virtually on any podcast network.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Just search for Bob and Kevin Show.
Here we go.
Hey!
It
wasn't you. Hey!
Hey.
Sorry, I was
Hey, we're
about
live.
to say something. Yeah.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. I usually say 1, 2, record, and I said 3, 2, 1, record this time, didn't I?
Yeah, it almost totally threw me off my game here.
Hey, so I set your cameras up before we went on air, and now you're standing off to the side more. God bless it.
There. Is that better?
No, now you're short and in the corner. You can stand back up. Perfect.
Well,
that is much
late.
better.
All right, there we go.
Hi, we're Bob and Kevin. I'm Bob, that other guy.
I'm Kevin, who
I was
apparently
going to say, thanks for saying your name.
who apparently just is making for bad radio here. So if you haven't noticed, we are live streaming, and you should probably check us out, Bob. Where can people find us if they want to do such things?
Kevin, today we're live streaming on Facebook. Boo, we need an audio machine for that. Boo. We're also live streaming on YouTube. Slightly less boos, I guess. Periscope. Hooray, but sad cries because I think Periscope's going away soon.
I thought that went away years ago. What happened?
Apparently, Twitter is going to have its own live streaming platform instead of just calling Periscope their live stream. I don't know.
Okay.
We should
Sorry.
listen to a
Continue.
tech podcast about that. And finally, where all the cool kids hang out, Twitch. Did you know that the brothers Weems do a weekly Twitch stream on Saturday nights?
I didn't. And now I'm going to have to check them out. And they are the Star Trek type podcast. I assume that's what they're still doing. Yes?
Yep, they're still Stardate Supplemental, yes. I think the problem is, I think they start at 9 o'clock Pacific time.
Oh, that's midnight my time for those doing the mental math.
They are, worst
You gotta
case
do what you gotta do
scenario,
in your time zone.
worst case scenario, it's 9 o'clock Mountain Time, which is still too late for this old guy on Saturday.
Oh, past your bedtime, eh?
It is past my bedtime. Another place where you can listen to the show, I know, you're curious about all these things, but we are a podcast first and foremost, and you can find us anywhere podcasts are streamed, downloadable, sold. We're not for sale.
Distributed? Syndicated? We're syndicated,
Thank
technically,
you.
right?
Yes, we are syndicated. Thank you, Kevin. Any place where podcasts are syndicated, but also we've been streaming. What do you call that when we're not really live, but we're part of a radio show?
So you're talking about the Geek, what's it called? Geek Radio or
Geek Radio, yes. Geek Radio.
Okay. Oh,
but
man.
is that like a rebroadcast?
Yes, I would think so. It's a pre-recorded, well, it's a rebroadcast. I think that's the best word,
Yes.
of the Bob and Kevin Show. And where
So,
can
yeah.
people find that, Bob?
That is at geekradio.com. Should probably know that better, but if you follow us,
We're terrible.
if you follow us on
Okay.
Twitter, I usually post. We're Saturdays at 9:30 Central, Saturday mornings. So if you want to have that live radio experience, also highly recommend Geek Radio for the music that they carry. It is definitely a geek slant. One of my favorite tunes that is often heard on there is What Would William Shatner Do? So that's the kind of music that they stream there 24/7, 365.
Okay, that's random. Bob, I found out how old William Shatner is. I guess he just had a birthday. Can you guess how old William Shatner is?
William Shatner is 77 years old.
He's 90.
Oh, shit.
I know, right? I'm like, what? Man, he's doing all right for 90 years old.
Have you heard
Anyway,
his... Didn't
thought
he
I'd
do a spoken word version of Rocket Man or something like that? Isn't that on one of his albums?
I have no idea, but I will have to Google that later.
Yeah, so lots of good stuff. We are hyper nerdy to start this day. We were actually, just before we went live, discussing the days we choose for recording, and Fridays are tough. Those of you that know, we do these on a Friday, and I'm pretty tired. Plus my mustache is looking like trash. Gotta get that under control. Sorry, those of you in video land.
Today was a Good Friday because, well, last weekend was Good Friday. Friday. This week, it's Good Friday because it's payday for Kevin and family. We also had a Team Wings Day, which was a totally awesome, great idea.
Like hot wings?
Yes. Kind of like the Bob and Kevin Show 2017 YouTube.
I was going to say, that reminds me of a viral video that we worked on together.
Yeah, many dozen people have watched that. Yes. So we had a Wings Day. So we all acquired wings individually because we're all not located together. And then we basically had Zoom and watched each other annihilate wings and talked about what's better, drumsticks or flappers, dry or wet sauce. So Bob, of course, I've got to ask you the same questions. Drumsticks, flappers, or it doesn't matter?
I think I love them both equally. I mean, like, I'm not going to turn my nose up at one, but I think I do prefer the drumsticks over the flappers.
Do you like wet sauce or dry rub?
Oh, wet sauce. Wetter the better, as they say.
All right. Whoever they is, I agree. Okay.
Fair warning,
so
I'm
that was
super
kind of
slap happy right now.
I won't ask what you were doing before the podcast. I'm assuming working.
I was working my ass off. Josh, cue the disclaimer.
Yeah. But we had wings. The company I work at, they hit 1 year a few weeks ago when they went fully remote. They went from we're not a remote company to we're fully remote. And they announced recently that they're going to reconfigure offices to a library setting, essentially. So nobody gets an office anymore. Well, I'm sure a few people do. But in general, it's just going to be hot seating. And when everyone goes back, because we're going to be a remote first company going forward because it worked out so well. And if you really want to go to the office, great. It's like going to be like a library. They're going to remodel everything, and it's going to be open and all that fun stuff.
So they're going 100% remote or remote first.
Yes.
And they're still going to keep their same exact real estate footprint?
Yeah, because I think the company's kind of old, got history, and then what they're doing is I think they're gutting it and redoing it to become an open format inside.
Nice.
So
not to shift the topic, but this is just in from superfan Kevin on Facebook. He says supposedly Bill Shatner lived in his car for a short period after Star Trek. Did not know that. Yeah,
Star Trek was canceled, and it was kind of like one of those, fan favorites brought it back. There's several instances of shows like that. I think Family Guy is one of them. Firefly might be another one, and Star Trek, where it's like, the original run was canceled, and it got brought back to life. Anyway, Star Trek.
Little known fact, that is where the famous Khan line came from when they got canceled. He said, "No!" And they used that in one of the episodes. Totally not true. Just made that up.
Okay. Fair enough. Whenever I reference Star Trek 2, that scene with Khan, a bunch of young people look at me like, what the hell's wrong with you? What are you talking about? And I'm like, gosh, I'm old. I am so old right now.
But you know what? You're not as old as William Shatner.
Yeah, that's true. 90, that's getting up there.
That's playing with the house's money,
so,
as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, yeah, he's had a good life. He's definitely had a good life. So, it's beautiful weather finally here in America, and at least I would think so in Boulder. But Boulder, it's like beautiful every day, and it's like not beautiful 2 days a week or a year, right?
Every day is beautiful in Boulder, yes.
So, I'll be doing a lot of stuff. I'm excited. I'm putting together a kit guitar this weekend, so that'll be fun. Hopefully, I've got all the stuff.
Like Knight Rider?
Now who's old? No. Okay. So you can, if you were going to build a computer, you would buy the tower, the motherboard, the processor, your RAM, and you would just assemble it. Okay. Somebody smarter.
That like
you can do that with a guitar as well. So you can buy the neck, the body, all the hardware and put together. So I'm doing that, but I've got to sand and finish the body. I've got to do a lot of work to it. But my next iteration, I'm going to do all that from plain blocks of wood. I'm going to start basically training to become a luthier. We'll see how that goes. I'm super motivated to do it. It'll totally be side gig
I thought
type
you were
stuff.
Catholic.
I'm not Catholic.
Well, then, why are you going to become a Lutheran? I don't understand.
Oh my God. This is like a terrible joke. A luthier, for people like Bob, is a guitar builder.
Oh, okay.
Man. You're going to be slap happy after I reach this microphone. I'm going to slap you. Anyway.
You just need to add a bunch of cheesy sound effects in here for the whole episode. Boings, rim shots.
Speaking of which, let's go ahead and pay the bills.
Pay the bills, Kevin. It's your turn.
Today's episode is brought to you by Baty-Barr Media, which is an online editing and production company that specializes in not only music, not only podcasts, not only production, but also video services for creators of all backgrounds. Their efficient and reliable services will save you time and stress on any project. I'm stressing right now. Josh, can you help me? Because that was really weird, Bob. Luthier, maybe I need to enunciate.
Nope, I'm just a dork.
Why Baty-Barr Media? What do they do for you? Well, they basically, somebody asked me today, Kevin, why did you buy wings today at your company for yourself? Why didn't you just make them? It's cheaper. I said, because you know why? If I can buy somebody else's time in certain situations, sign me up. And that's basically what we're doing with Josh. Josh, take my money so that I can do something else. Sorry about your weekend, Josh, because I'm paying you to lose it, basically, is what we're saying here. It's been a great experience. We like all kinds of things about it because basically after a while, Josh just knows what to do. And then how do you get in on this amazingness? How do you make Josh have no fun on the weekend? Well, what you can do is you can go to www.baty-barr.media/BK show and you'll get a discount. 10% discount. So
that's real money.
That's real money. Help us take up Josh's time by sending him your business. And you know why? Because it'll be worth every penny because it's beautiful weather. These are known as tie-ins. I'm starting to tie in everything I've said so far up to this point here so that you go
Damn, that's why you're the best in the business.
Lies. So anyway, Bob, what did I forget about Mr. Josh?
Josh just allows all of his clients to be the creators that they have always been meant to be without the hassle of all the bogging down of the editing and post-production that we don't necessarily have all those talents and skills. This dude went to school, started his own business, and that's why you want to send him those checks. Like the Bob and Kevin show does.
I very much support small businesses, and I think everyone else should too. Over the weekend, I bought some luthier tools from the United Kingdom. I'm kind of excited. From a company called Crimson Guitars. Not a sponsor of the show. They have no idea who we are. But I watched a guy named Ben Crow make a guitar in 5 YouTube episodes for absolutely free, and I got so inspired to do it. And
he made the guitar for free, or the videos were free?
Sorry, I should clarify. The videos are free, and he probably made the guitar for free because he kept it, I think. He had a sponsor. Anyway, just basically took slabs of really nice wood and made a guitar, and that was amazing. So that's what I'm doing this weekend. What are you doing this weekend, Bob?
Well, at the Baty-Barr household, we're doing some recovery from vaccinations. But typically on the weekends, we are out of doors as much as possible, hiking, biking, swimming, you name it. Oh my God, my computer just... Nope. What is going on? My computer's freaking out. Kevin? Are you there? Hello? Kev. Oh, apparently we're still going? Are we still going? Interesting. Kevin, can you hear me? Dropped the call. Guess we're still live, huh? Thanks, Kevin Wiegand. Trying to get Kevin back in. Bringing Kevin. Hey there.
Hi, Bob.
I am not still recording for those of you watching out in TV land. Something happened with my Skype apparently, but why don't you rewind to 1440?
Okay.
This is the magic right here, everyone.
This is how the sausage is made. Right here. All right. Bam. Just give me those magic words, Bob. So,
Hang on.
I assume we're still on the live stream.
We are still on the live stream. That was the weirdest part.
What Bob's going through right now is we actually do we locally record each other or ourselves, and so then we'll send that to Josh, our sponsor, and then he'll marry all this together. Josh is going to earn his money this go around. I can already tell.
Well, I think if you're queued up to 1440, that should help.
Yes, I am queued up.
All
And
right.
then what we need to do is just sync up, and Bob will do so right now.
1, 2, record. Okay, well, nope, that didn't go as well as I'd hoped. Strike that. Please cue back to 1440 again.
Okay.
It's the best TV ever. I bet you this has never happened to anyone in podcasting ever. All right. How do you feel about your 1440 right now?
I feel pretty good about my 1440, Bob.
All right, so can I give the countdown one more time?
You can.
All right, 1, 2, record. And Josh, sorry about that.
Good thing we got that read in there already.
Yes, we got the read in there. Josh is definitely going to earn a couple bucks this week. All right, so where were we? You got some luthier tools from the UK.
Yes, and I was so eloquently asking Bob, what are you doing this weekend?
Oh, that's right. Hiking, biking, swimming. We're usually outside, but Caroline is recovering from her second dose of her COVID vaccination, and it was a really rough night 2 nights ago for her, and she's pretty wiped out today. So we'll see what the weekend holds, but we're typically out there doing our thing. So,
All right, so
but not building or
we have a
making
topic.
anything.
Okay,
Yes, we do
well,
have a
that's
topic.
fine. Apparently, I'm converting religions, according to Bob. So,
Or finding one, I don't know.
whatever. I'm putting together a Lutheran religion or something, whatever Kevin said. So we did have a topic, right? And so what I asked Bob a few weeks ago, and we're just now coming back to it, is we live in a technological world of ecosystems. Those ecosystems would be like Google, Apple. Let's see, what other ecosystems are there? Even Chrome is like a microcosm if you think of the plugins that go with the Chrome extension, browsers themselves.
What would you think of operating systems as an ecosystem?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I was blinking. Operating system's a big one.
What about Skype? Like, what about communication ecosystems? Would you consider Skype like an ecosystem, or?
Well, you could define it. It's more Venn diagrammy. So think about the companies who are like, no, we're a Microsoft shop, but you can't use Slack anymore. You have to use Microsoft Teams. And so it's kind of like, I've seen that more often than not, where it's like, no, we're a Microsoft shop, so we use the Office 365. So this is your now productivity stack. It's like, well, but we really like Slack or whatever. Too bad we got a discount on getting the whole thing.
So would Facebook be an ecosystem?
Yes, it would. Facebook, because that's a walled garden, right?
Well, I mean, how do we define walled garden? I mean, what ecosystem? How would you define ecosystem as it relates to Facebook? That genuine curiosity.
Well, let me generalize first. So we all live in one ecosystem we call the universe. We won't talk about the micro universes or parallel universe. Just stay with me for a second. Or are we in the Matrix? All right. So let's just assume we live in this universe. That's one ecosystem. We live in the Milky Way galaxy, which is a subset of that ecosystem. We live on planet Earth, most of us, and that's a subsystem and whatnot. So those are nicely contained subsets or supersets, depending on which way you look. But there's also ecosystems that do kind of exist that overlap a little bit, but most of the ecosystems I'm talking about are really subsystems of other ecosystems. So Facebook is an ecosystem. It's kind of a closed thing. It has its own rules. It's kind of like, what defines a planet, and you got all these rules. Oh, Pluto, sorry, you lost. So what defines an ecosystem? I don't know yet. Maybe that's what we can do today. But I would say Facebook is an ecosystem because you got to log in to do certain things. Maybe all platforms would be defined by that loose rule. But when you have like a marketplace within, like Facebook Marketplace, when you have
that's what I was
plugins
looking
within,
for.
when you, yeah.
So you have more than just the message posting interface. You've got the marketplace. You've got groups. You've got a chat interface where you can do one-on-one. So there's many functions that you could do from that one application or that one environment. So ecosystem.
Yeah, and let's disambiguate maybe. So if we look at Reddit, I wouldn't call Reddit an ecosystem. I would label that simply as a community. Why? Because there's no real economics involved. So I guess I'm including there's like an economic system within. So Reddit, that's a community. You sign up, it's a platform, but you're not really there. You're not paying to be there. You're not paying for plugins. Your information's not, that to my knowledge, being sold or marketed. You're not being targeted ads. It's not the Truman Show like Facebook and whatnot. So there's all these different ecosystems. And if I could actually get to the point of the topic of today, is what is the responsibility of ecosystem owners, and how well are they doing it, and what sorts of conflicts of interest arise? And I would say the first conflict of interest, if I could prime the discussion, would be like an Apple saying, that app right there is banned or no longer, or it's still there, but we've created a first-party version of this. And we've created a first-party version because we're doing this to protect our users. They kind of usually sell it to you like that. But what they've really done, in my humble opinion, is let all of their community members within their ecosystem take all the risk. Yep, that worked. That didn't. Oh, the ones that did work. Let's steal that idea. It's already been in the incubator. And we're going to take that, and we're going to, since we're the first party, we can market it, and we can control what you as the consumer see, and we can actually throttle the one that took all the risk. Are you tracking so far?
Ish. I mean, I don't know why I'm trying to be careful. I think it's probably important to note that it's very rare in today's tech ecosystem culture, because that's kind of what we're talking about, tech ecosystems, that an entire ecosystem comes from incubation to maturity without acquisition. So, you're talking about some of the breakdowns. I think that primarily the breakdown is because it's very rare that an entity becomes an ecosystem organically. So they don't add services or add pieces to their platform to become an ecosystem without acquiring other small organizations, which may have a different culture, may have a different technology, may have a different philosophy on that overall responsibility. So there's pieces of ecosystems that could be weaknesses, like any chain, but this chain is being built on the fly. So there could be a weak link in the way that the ecosystem is created. You have corporate cultures that come, like Facebook hasn't been Facebook on its own from the beginning. Google hasn't been Google on its own. They buy smaller pieces. Apple basically, which is kind of where you started. They opened up their licensing to allow other people to manufacture hardware for them, and then rolled that back 3 to 5 years later when Power Computing came out on top as the best and brightest hardware manufacturer. And so then basically, as you said, they absorbed that into their ecosystem. You said the risk is the users are bearing the risk, but I mean, there's also financial risk for the partners that get absorbed and all other stuff. I see you raising your hand.
Well, not the users, the developers who pioneered this new app, whatever. So what's disappointing to me is app developer creates this cool new thing. It gets super popular. It's doing great. And then the ecosystem parent notices, clones it, markets their thing, and it kind of kills off theirs. And they can totally do it because they are gods of their domain, and they'll be able to say, well, this is our platform. We can do what we want, claiming that moral high ground. And it just leaves people out to dry that were actually the true innovators, and they didn't get absorbed. So there's the opportunity for a company that created something and Apple buys them. Okay, yeah, great. But what I'm more talking about, so if we switch to Amazon, you create some cool product, this coffee cup. It's really awesome. It's selling great. Then Amazon's like, hey, we can see all the sales data. You're doing great on our platform. But we just created an Amazon Basics coffee cup that's $3 cheaper. And somehow, some way, your cup is on page 2 now. Even though it's selling great because ours is right there. And then now it's a smart cup. It integrates with that one lady who's staring at me funny, and whatnot. And that's really unfortunate. But that's what ecosystem owners are doing. And I'm sad for that.
So do you think that the ecosystems, because they are smaller generally than the giant ecosystem that we're already part of, that those tech ecosystems possibly shine a bright light and put a magnifying glass on the things that are wrong with letting the market dictate how things go? Because, I mean, you basically described capitalism with that cup example at Amazon, but because they own the environment, it's an unfair
advantage. Right.
But that's still leveraging, in quote unquote capitalism. Is there fairness?
So there's no such thing as fairness, but there's also no requirement for me to like it or like certain aspects of it. I don't just go, well, capitalism, yep, then I shrug my shoulders and move on. Now, there's, one spectrum of politics that say low regulation is better. There's another spectrum that says more regulation is better, but I would say the real answer is somewhere in between. So I guess what I feel is kind of predatory is, hey, come to our ecosystem. It'll be great. You come over there, a lot of times you have to be exclusive because the technology is proprietary. Apple stuff doesn't work on Google or on Android and vice versa. So you're kind of going down this path of you're getting married to this ecosystem. You do all this investment in it, and then they kind of turn on you and be like, ha, your idea was so good, we stole it. Thank you for coming to our platform and letting us feast upon your innovation. So it's that kind of stuff that I'm most worried about today's ecosystems.
But do we cloud that? Like, do we muddy this argument when we're using the coffee cup as an example? I mean, I know it happens in software too, which then you've got intellectual, but I mean, how do you manage that ethically and regulatorily when
there you go.
Coffee cup and this piece of software are markedly different? So
would you agree, and by the way, I don't have the answer, so I just kind of want to walk through this. Would you agree that the big tech companies have an extraordinary amount of leverage over their ecosystem community members, typically?
Well, yeah. I mean, in most cases, they're the parent company. So the work that you do there is their property.
Well, no. Think about the Hey email. With the whole back and forth went there. Basically, Apple's dictating terms. You want to be on our platform? Here it is. Pay the tax.
Okay, so that ecosystem of the app, that's almost its own ecosystem unto itself. It's really not Apple. It's the App Store ecosystem.
That's still Apple and their ecosystem.
Is, but
So what I was getting at is what is the responsibility?
Does that pay to play? Does that pay to play thing that they put in place, is that meant to be a guardrail to keep them from, seeing that Hey email is doing great, and so we're just going to make a Hey email clone? And in theory, since Hey is paying juice, Apple doesn't need to replicate their product to make more money. They're already making money from Hey.
Correct. So I'm not saying this applies in all situations. I'm saying it has applied in some situations where you're like, wait, and Amazon, and I really don't distinguish physical product from intellectual product very much, because I think they're very much the same analogs. We have this thing, we're offering it, and you cloned the thing, and now you're undercutting us and over marketing us on your platform that you attracted me to. So that's it. And same thing with.
Wouldn't that be an inherent risk if I'm an entrepreneur? I mean, and I want to distribute my cup to the largest audience possible. Just so happens that Amazon is the best game in town for that. At the end of the day, it is just a cup. I mean,
it is. No patents or anything like that. So what you're getting at is it legal? 100%. Yes. What I'm getting at, though, is should it be? And let's take a step back and go, what should the responsibilities of the ethics be of an ecosystem owner? And I think it might come down to ecosystem owners shouldn't be able to directly compete with their community members, is what I'm getting at.
How come that didn't raise as much of a stink? I mean, like, think about it. Amazon wasn't always in the stuff game. Like, they were always in the stuff game, but it was always somebody else's stuff. Like, when they started breaking into the white labeling, because are they manufacturing, or are they just slapping their label on other people's stuff?
Well, it's probably like white label. You go buy ketchup, it's made by Heinz, but it's got your label on it. But there actually has been some litigation with some of this. So of course I can't find an article right now, because I didn't think of this just out of the blue. I was thinking of how Amazon's doing this kind of shady stuff, if you ask me. Totally shady. Hey, great idea, now we're going to steal it. But I think this happens also in software too, where it's like, hey, great idea, we've attracted you to our platform, and oh, by the way, here's all these rules that you have to play by, and you have to play by these rules in order for us to be competitive at your innovation's expense, sort of. So Apple, should they be able to charge a fee? Yes. 30% seems high. What's the number then, Kevin? I have no idea. But 30% seems a little high. Other platforms, yes. Hey, we've got, let's say it's Google. Hey, we've got this thing, and we've never created this before, and we see you've got this cool app. It's super popular. We've seen all the analytics because we're the host. Well, we created the Google version of that, and now people don't need yours anymore. We've obsoleted yours, but I've done all the research unfairly because I can see into everything. And what I'm getting at is they shouldn't be allowed to do that. They shouldn't be able to have insider knowledge to create an anti-competitive environment, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I could see that. I just don't know how you monitor / mitigate / eliminate that. Because, I mean, in theory,
well, it's just,
they are providing a service.
Right. I guess the question is do you think maybe they should just provide the service, the framework, and that's it? Everything else should be then off limits to them.
Yes, I agree with that statement 100%. How do you put that toothpaste back in the tube?
I don't know. So back to like regulatory stuff. Do people like regulations? No, until you get burned. Then you say yes. So if we talk about a hot topic, do you want gun control? Well, a lot of people would say, well, we don't want regulation. Then you turn on the TV and you go, ooh, yeah, we do need that. So, and that's the ultimate put the toothpaste back in the tube topic we've got here in America. But when it comes to software like that, it's like if you're an innovator, I created this thing. Here's your likely course of action. A, hope to get acquired. B, hope one of the big tech companies don't notice it and just clone you.
Right.
Those are the two outcomes.
Which is just a razor thin difference between those two outcomes. It's like, do we buy them or do we just rip them off? And that's completely out of your control, because if you're an entrepreneur, you want to bring as much attention to your software as possible. You can't necessarily bring all the attention possible without it being on Google or Facebook's or Microsoft's radar, And
there's a third option. Invest in that company. Okay, Google can invest in this company that's innovative. Of course, it does create conflicts of interest. Anytime money's involved, it certainly does.
Right, and I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that there's something somewhere that they can't do that, and that's why they end up doing the clones or the acquires.
Yeah, I guess I'm just disappointed with tech again and their ecosystems, because it's not just one ecosystem. Let's be clear. It's not just like this one or that one. They all do this. It's like the siren song. Come, developer, to our platform. It's great. You can make money. We can make money. Be innovative. You come to the platform. Hey, I'm here. Okay, I'm buying in. I'm doing the innovation. Here it is. Hey, that is innovative. But let's see how it goes for a while. A year goes by. Great. It is great. Okay, well, we could buy you. We could invest in you. Or we could just, because we control the strings, just do our own thing. And then thank you for your service. Thank you, Bob, for being an innovator. And I hope you can pay the bills, because we've obsolete you. But thank you. Thank you for being a good community member. Thank you. Because thank you pays the bills, right?
Well, in addition to thank you, though, do you think that there's the possibility that there's some like payouts that we don't necessarily know of? I mean,
oh, absolutely.
Okay,
but that's conspiracy theory. I mean, because I can't refute that, so of course I'll be like, oh, of course that's possible.
Right, but I mean, I'm wondering if I think it's very easy and low-hanging fruit to say big tech is evil, and I don't think you'd find much argument. But maybe there are like sizable checks written in backgrounds that also go along with gag orders. By taking this payout for your innovation, you can't say that we took your innovation. And it's kind of like a...
Isn't that anti-competitive, though, in its own right?
a Hush acquisition. Well, the part where it gets sketchy is if Innovator has a team and Innovator gets paid out and is told to hush as a contingency of the payout and then doesn't compensate his team. So it might not always be big tech that's the ultimate baddie there.
True. I guess.
I apologize for saying baddie, by the way. That was terrible. Bad guy.
If I were able to affect certain things, I would basically say, Amazon, no, you can't make that thing because it's kind of like the distinction between platform and was it a content provider? Are you a platform or are you providing content? If you're both, you have conflicts of interest.
Yeah.
So Facebook, which one are you? You know what they do? Blah, 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 wishy-washy answer, blah, blah, blah. We want to protect people and privacy, wishy-washy answer. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Zuckerberg. And then
that's all of them. They start off with everything. Our primary objective is to protect our user. And because of increased security and things we've been working on here at Big Tech Company, and then they never answer the question about...
They're really totally don't have a legit answer when they're like, you know what, just say it's security, because you can always just say it's security, right? And then people go, oh, well, security, of course. But Amazon...
Hanson, yeah, DHH did something about... He coined... I don't know, he didn't coin a term, but he used a term today about like a security smoke screen or something, because I guess they have people who review apps. They have people on the payroll who review apps to the tune of like 50 to 100 a day, but they're not qualified in any way, shape, or form. They're basically just dragging them into the system.
Is this like you talking about Apple iOS apps?
Yeah. Their ecosystem. Apparently they have reviewers that review apps. I'm sure Android does too, but that marketplace is riddled with spyware, malware.
Yeah, just like YouTube, at some point you just can't watch all the videos. You just can't. There's too much. You just can't. You're producing it faster than we can consume it. So, I just think it's kind of a weird practice for Amazon to be able to be like, hey, well, here's the Amazon Basics version of that, and it's at the top, or it's suggested on your innovative product. Now, if we go to Microsoft, there's other things that really annoy me. Windows. Like, every time there's an upgrade, it's trying to sell me Office 365. I'm like, I don't want Office 365, or, hey, would you like to opt into our ad tracking? No. What? Can't it just be an operating system? Is it really that hard over there in Washington? Is times so hard? Or you just, like, I want some of those Zuck bucks, apparently you just track people everywhere and you get paid, right?
Hey, at least it's better than the olden days where they didn't even ask.
Oh, they just did. Fair enough. But Microsoft got in trouble for packaging in Internet Explorer, which was anti-competitive. And that's another ecosystem, because if you were Firefox or Netscape, I think it was Netscape at the time who sued them. It's like, wait a second, you wanted us to develop on your platform, and that's what we did. And there's a bunch of other competitors. You learned from us. You basically stole from us. You learned what worked, what didn't, and then you undercut all of us.
Well, they tried.
Holy crap.
Internet Explorer was not a very valiant attempt at copying and learning the best practices, but
just because they can't program, it was besides the point. But do you know how many people use Internet Explorer because that's what's installed on their system?
Well, yeah, that's the internet. The
now, of course,
internet.
Kevin, if I have a platform and I have preferred partners, scare quotes, why can't I just show you the ones that I think you should download? Well, here's Chrome, here's Firefox, here's whatever. They can pay to show up on this list. And the answer is yes, they can. But does that make it right? That you're completely shaping, Facebook shapes the narrative all the time with just all the tracking. Why does it know to show me that? Because it knows. I just don't like the fact that these ecosystems are manipulation machines. They're all mini Truman shows.
Can we go back to Internet Explorer for a second?
I guess.
So was that case, did that have an expiration date on it? Like, okay, Microsoft, you lost, but, for the next 10 years, you're not allowed to do that behavior. Bad Microsoft.
Right, because Edge is now bundled again.
Yes,
Right?
that's where I was going. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I didn't do this intentionally, but I have Edge on my app launcher right now, like my toolbar, taskbar.
There was a Windows 10 update a while back, and I didn't have Edge on my machine, and then I did. So I don't know. That's a good question. Did it have an expiration date? I don't know.
Because I feel like this is the same thing again.
Yeah, because a reasonable person would say, yes, Microsoft, you're going to probably recommend, if not darn near force, a critical vulnerability to my machine. But why the hell are you forcing down commercial bloatware to my machine? Now, I get the new Edge is kind of nice, but that's not the point. The point was I never got asked. You just put it on my machine. Now I don't even, like old Internet Explorer, you couldn't even uninstall. I think you can now, and think you're supposed to, or otherwise that's a risk.
I think it's doctor recommended.
Right. Anyway, I sound like old guy, but I also feel that there should be responsibility in like ethics of ecosystem works, because there's a ton of them, and some of them overlap, some of them don't, and I think they are predatory to their people, because they woo people in, just like Google Maps. Hey, it's free, it's free, it's free. Now it's not free. Suckers.
Yeah.
And
remarkably, that whole, I'm actually very happy about this. That whole trend kind of went away. Not the it's free, now it's not. But I think the whole Google Maps trend went away. Like, I'm not developing websites at near the pace that I used to, but Google Maps integration just does not come up anymore. It's like, oh yeah, static pictures just fine.
We don't need to pay that fee.
Right.
I also see it from the ecosystem owner's point of view. Hey, it's ours. We get to control this. We worked hard. We did all this. But, if I walk into a restaurant, I would assume they're going to have a menu of things for me to choose from and whatnot. And they're going to show you the ones that make business sense for them and whatnot. And they're going to make it so I can't bring in outside food and all that. So I get that there's rules and whatnot. But I think we've crossed so many lines with these ecosystems where, and the companies that run them are so big that you have no defense. Your only defense would be, then go somewhere else. You don't like the fact that we stole your cup and we're selling Amazon Basics? Go over to Walmart. I hear they're taking, new products. It's just like, what is this? And of course they'll say, see, look, we're not a monopoly. You can go to Walmart. But in reality, we're all like, well, they're done. Right?
I'm glad you brought up the sizing aspect, to the size of the size of the ecosystem, size of the corporation, whatever, swap those out. I think that there's aspects where there's not one entity in those organizations that's like overseeing all of this stuff. So the marketplace, Amazon for, primary example, that's just one small part of their ecosystem. They've got their video, they've got their, they've got all that stuff. So it could be, I don't think
you mean like kicking Parler off AWS? You mean
right.
Stuff like that?
I don't, how high up to ethical decisions like that go? Maybe there's somebody, and again, it's a toothpaste in a tube thing. Somebody from the corporate side of things, the Amazon side of things, innovated and said, wow, we could probably get into manufacturing and make products just like some of the best-selling products on our marketplace. And look, I've generated revenue for us. Well, somebody in the big office is like, gold star for you, just because they saw the numbers. And then by the time they realized what was helping generate that number, the ship has already sailed, So how do they correct that course?
Let's use the word numbers. So Walmart moves into a small town. What happens to all the mom and pop stores?
They go away.
But what does the public generally say about Walmart? It's good
Negative.
because they got cheaper prices. No, they normally say, well, but it's cheaper. And then so there's 10,000 people in a small town that go, we like Walmart. And then there was the 30 business owners. We don't like Walmart because they put me out of business. You're just losing the numbers game.
Right.
So you're going to have the same problem in these ecosystems. hey, you wronged me, ecosystem owner. Yeah, you're one person, but there's 100,000 of these people standing behind me that don't give a shit that you lost anything.
Right.
And that's where it's just like this. Oh my gosh!
So is that the ecosystem's fault, or is that people are shitty? Period.
Well, maybe both. Because we're all hypocrites. We want the cheapest price for ourselves, and we want to charge the most when we're on the other side of the desk. That's just kind of the way it works. So we're all hypocrites in that respect. I just think we almost need a distinction between platform owner and platform producers. If you create a marketplace, you as a marketplace owner shouldn't be able to introduce product into that market that competes directly with the people you try to attract, is what I'm getting at.
And I think you already solved this with a much cleaner ethical solution that I don't understand why it doesn't happen, is that those larger ecosystems could invest in,
Yes.
Instead of putting it in your own store, help Joe Coffee Cup, producer in that town to innovate some new coffee cup designs for their own store.
That's actually my favorite option. Yes.
And make a couple percentage points off of that and keep that person in business, plus make your mega gagillions of dollars from your already existing superstore.
And imagine all those people you invested in. What are they going to do? They're going to turn around and be like, hey, this is the platform you want to be in because we're in it, and they treat us right. And that's why I think, when first party companies do these things, they're absorbing all the costs and whatnot because they're looking at going, yes, it'll cost us more to develop up front, but then we'll slingshot past, them over there. And I really wish just the platform owners would invest in their community members directly rather than compete with them directly. Because as soon as that decision is made, we're going to compete with them. It's over for the other person. It's over. You just hit it's in terms of visibility and all. It's over because you've just got the machine. You have the reins to the machine. You win that day. Done. So that's what I think should change. And if you're going to have a platform, why not make it so you make money if your community makes money? Period. You're taking a little bit, and that Apple's kind of doing it right. You take a little bit of whatever that is, you take a little bit of it. But when Apple goes wrong is when they say, oh, yeah, now we got one of those.
Yeah, but 30% still a little steep.
30% is too high. Yes, I would say. Let me back up. Do you think ecosystems are at all one-sided, or do you think it's pretty competitive and fair in general if you were to look at most of the bigger ecosystems?
Competitive and fair between whom?
Well, okay, let's define that. Parent, and then so the parent competing against the children, which is weird. That's what I'm thinking is weird. And then the children against the children. Can anyone just list on Amazon and be successful? I would say so, yes. Can anyone just list something that's innovative and then survive Amazon basicing, as a verb, it? I don't know. I really don't. I've never had the pleasure of having that happen to me. But
right, but okay, so that argument is a very interesting one to unpack. Obviously, it's very easy to see the imbalance between the parent competing with the children. Amazon basicing it because they have unlimited resources. But in that same regard, if you and I go to Amazon with two similar products, there's nothing that says that our resource allocations are equal. You might be a far bigger organization. It might not nearly be as creative, but you may be able to produce at a volume that keeps a larger number of customers happy and actually throw some advertising dollars to drive people to your location on Amazon's marketplace. So again, it's not fair. I mean, just because we both make coffee cups, it doesn't mean that we both sell the same amount. So can that argument be extrapolated up to the parent again? I mean, I'm not this. First of all, I feel really shitty that it sounds like I'm defending these marketplace owners because I think at the heart of it, I don't.
Bob, we need to see your stock portfolio at the end of this for transparency.
I guarantee that I have FANG stocks in there. Not gonna lie, but you know, I'm logicking through some of these arguments out loud in real time, and I'm having a hard time reconciling. I mean, I guess that's the free market capitalists in me. I hate that part, but
I don't 100% disagree with you. I'm just saying free market's good. Free market unrestrained is not, I don't think, because it creates such an imbalance.
And you and I have talked about this several times, and there's many different lanes that this applies to. Our understanding of technology and technological marketplaces and these ecosystems is not evolving from a regulatory standpoint at near the pace that these ecosystems are. And they're way ahead. And so you have these David and Goliath type situations where David gets fucking crushed.
Well, yeah, because I think the last 10 to 20 years has proven the following formula works. Attract a bunch of people, trap them. We call it vendor lock-in. That's one of the terms. Trap them on your platform. Make it very expensive for them to go somewhere else, and then you can dictate terms. That's the formula of most ecosystems.
And the trick is you get a lot. I mean, that lock-in, I mean, you're not getting nothing for that, but it's just enough to lock you in. You know, a tool set, access, customers, you know, management tools, and then you're stuck. So it's not like you're getting nothing for something, but you're getting just enough that you can't leave.
And you know what I call that? I call that an abusive relationship, to be perfectly frank. So that's what it took us 54 minutes into the podcast for me to get to kind of like develop my thought. I really think these ecosystems are abusive relationships, if I'm being honest. Play by our rules. Hope we don't, you know, it's Darth Vader, you know, princess, hope I don't change the terms. You know, it's just like the ecosystem was, okay, fine, you know, okay, you know, I just feel like it's this my way or the highway, and we know what the highway looks for you, young sir. So we know you'll toe the line. You know, I just feel so slimy. How do we fix that? I really don't know. Can you fix it? Probably not, honestly. You know,
that's the weird
thing. Can you even
is,
regulate that? Probably not.
No, because, I mean, think about it. It's like it's grains of sand on the beach. I mean, there's so many people trying to thrive in these ecosystems, these, you know, these environments, and it's because they can, but not many do, and especially when the parent is like, ooh, I like that one, crush, like that one, crush. So
and there's so many people willing to take your place.
Yeah.
Kevin, you don't like it on Amazon? Guess what? There's 10 people behind you that can't wait to take your spot. And it's just like, oh my gosh.
They'll take your page 2 listing.
Yep. So I get all that. I just don't have to like any of it, is all I'm saying. It just sucks.
Hey, quick thing, just breaking in here. When we do live stream, we get the benefit of actually seeing how we're performing on the different networks. And if you're watching on Twitch right now, jump in the chat, say hello, just so we can see, you know, if these are ghost viewers or actual viewers. So, you know, just find that chat on Twitch and just say hello, and we'll know you're out there. So I just wanted to jump in with that because I feel like there's some real dedicated folks out there right now, and would love to give them some recognition if they're brave enough to say hello. So
I guess this also comes down to how does Facebook and YouTube make sure their content is good? Zuckerberg and YouTube people will say, oh, we have algorithms and blah, blah, blah. But you and I have talked ad nauseum. Sorry, it's just not black and white like that. It's not binary. You can't be like, this is good, this is bad. And then when you start trading money, things get really gray really quick. Because even if you go back to the investor one, and we're both cup manufacturers. Amazon really likes my cup design, not yours. They invest in me. now I have more dollars. So really, it's like contributing to a political campaign behind the scenes, and so that's not a clean solution either.
Nope, they can't support all the cup manufacturers, so bummer.
Yeah, I guess we just all need to make friends and call in your favors when you need them, because the ecosystem owners are the people with the power. So there you go.
That's just sad. What else you got?
It is. I'm looking out a sunny window out my window, and I can't wait to go outside and enjoy some fresh air. That's about how I'm doing. What about you?
I don't really know what I've got after this today. Kind of flying by the seat of my pants on a Friday. I'm definitely crashing here. That's why I was wondering if you had anything else to add in. Again, sorry, Josh, you're gonna have to splice and dice a little bit today.
Yep. I hope we get more live stream viewers, and like Bob said, if you're out there and get a hold of the show, you can get a hold of Bob, because I'm like the off the grid version of a tech guy. I'm basically not on social media hardly at all anymore, unless Bob baits me into one. Then I'll totally take the bait and run with it.
I feel bad when that happens. But yeah,
like
if you want
getting back on the bottle.
If you want to reach out on social media, you can find Bob and Kevin Show pretty much on all of them, except maybe Parler. We're not on Parler, but a lot of the other ones, just search Bob and Kevin Show and drop us a line. Got anything else?
Nope. Let's end this.
All right, everyone, thanks for tuning in today. And if you're listening to the podcast, thanks for always listening and supporting. Drop us some 5-star ratings and some reviews on any of those platforms that allow you to do that. That would really help us out a lot, too. And let us know what you like and what you don't like. And if it's a lot of don't like, then maybe we'll suggest you listen to another tech podcast. But definitely let us know what resonates and what does not. I'm mostly kidding.
If you give us a 5-star rating, you'll get a free podcast online from us, a free episode. You can pick anyone you want to listen to. Just give us a 5-star rating.
If you do a 5-star rating or leave a favorable review and you send a screenshot to us over social media, we will send you some show swag, because we have a lot of that.
Oh yeah,
we just keep it to ourselves. So
we've got magnets, stickers. What are those things?
Coasters.
Coffee coasters. Yes.
And if
I will totally send some.
If you're really, really nice, I believe that there's a screen print somewhere around. Maybe we've slapped something together for you if you're really nice to us.
If you're really nice. It depends if you're an ecosystem. If you're an ecosystem owner and you have the power to boost Bob and Kevin Show ratings, we will send you a t-shirt.
Jeff, we're talking to you, Mr. Bezos. Give us a call. All right, everyone, stay safe, get vaccinated, love one another, and we'll talk to you soon.
You are listening to the Bob and Kevin Show with Bob Baty-Barr
and Kevin Giszewski. Each week we cover relevant tech and social issues related to technology.
Our website is bobandkevin.show.
And our episodes can be found virtually on any podcast network.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Just search for Bob and Kevin Show.